Somaliland is now officially denying reports that it agreed to accept refugees from Gaza or host Israeli military bases in exchange for Israeli recognition. The Somaliland Foreign Ministry rejecting what it calls false claims made by Somalia's president, who alleged Israel demanded such terms as part of the recognition deal. Somaliland insisting its engagement with Israel is purely diplomatic, saying the allegations are meant to undermine its growing international standing. So, Yaakov Lappin, when you look at those images, when you see those flags, when you understand the significance of what is unfolding in that part of the region, give us your sense from a security perspective, what is unfolding there right now?
Yeah, these really remarkable images. Look, from a security and from a strategic perspective, this is a mega move because it basically opens the door. We haven't had confirmation that this will happen, but I think it's a good guess that this is where it's heading for Israel to set up a naval base, a logistics base, an intelligence gathering base, about 300 kilometers from the Houthis and from the Iranian attempts to take over the Red Sea. The Iranians and the Houthis have tried to set up a blockade. They've tried to destroy basically all maritime traffic heading towards Eilat. They've also harmed maritime traffic heading to the Suez Canal and to Aqaba. At the end of the day, they are trying to take over the Red Sea and place us under a maritime siege. And of course, Yemen is an area where the Houthis have been producing and assembling ballistic missiles so that they can fire them at our cities whenever there's a flare-up. So instead of having to fly 2,000 kilometers or send missile ships or send subs, and it's a really long distance, if Israel sets up a base, and I think that's where it's going to be much easier to operate against this threat and as well as to stop the Iranians from taking over the Red Sea. The Israeli Navy, by the way, will have to expand if we're going in that direction. It used to be bigger in previous years. There was a base in Sharm el-Sheikh. So this can be done, but it requires some budgetary commitments. But I think, this is really Israel behaving like a regional power, building allies with common interests. And obviously, it's going to upset and ruffle some feathers. But I think the benefits here are majorly outweighing any costs in terms of diplomatic backlash.
Clearly a sign of the changing times. Again, looking at those images, Michal, your sense of the significance of this moment right now.
So I'll say, we spoke about the Abraham Accords before and the potential of the Abraham Accords and what they can mean for the region and beyond. And this is, I would say, a step in the right direction, if you will, in fighting the war that was waged against the changes of those Abraham Accords, meaning this is a message that is very powerful, including to the criminal Islamic regime in Iran, of whom the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas are but proxies, understanding that there is this opportunity that we will be able to expand those Abraham Accords and shift the tectonic changes that they would bring with them and actually reinforce them with something of this kind, of course, also enabling not just the strategic sort of advances and ensuring that the Houthis can continue to hold us captive every time they choose to with those ballistic missiles, but in fact, perhaps even advancing towards that much bigger change that the Abraham Accords could potentially bring to the region, and as I said, and beyond.
Are you optimistic, briefly, that can expand, that so-called circle of peace in the coming year?
Look, it'll really depend on where it is that the United States ends up putting its weight, if you ask me, meaning this is almost counter to what we saw yesterday with Turkey and Qatar as potential allies. They are not potential allies in what the Abraham Accords would offer the region and beyond. This is a step in the opposite direction, and hopefully this is the direction that we are heading in the coming year.